Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's time to have the bottle of water. Roll call.
Mayor Fraser, absent. Councilman King.
Here.
Councilwoman Fleming.
Here.
Councilman Kuhn.
Here.
Councilman Florence.
Here.
Town clerk here. And town attorney, Mr. Leonard.
Okay, item 1, addition, deletion, changes, and approval of the agenda. None?
None.
Can we have a, can we do a,
I make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
approve, second for the agenda? Can we, hear?
Second.
Got it?
Jason seconds.
Approved in the second?
Jason did.
Approved.
Okay.
For the agenda, or are you talking?
The item number 1, it was approved in the second. Can we have it?
Yeah.
We have a second.
So what we say,
All in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
All in favor.
All opposes? None. So item number 2, the minutes, meeting of our last meeting, approval of the minutes from June the 19th, 23 meeting. We have them in our packets. If you've looked over them, can we get
I'm making a motion to approve the meeting minutes from June 19th, 2023.
No, sir.
okay, it has been,
You gonna say aye again?
approved in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh gosh, my mind just went complete cuckoo.
We on the public participation.
Okay, ayes have it, so it's approved. Okay, item for number 3, public participation. Anybody in the audience that want to participate and have anything to say, move up to the podium at this time. Any public participation?
Please state your name clearly so the recorder pick you up.
Hey, I'm James O'Cora at Southwest Bryant Avenue over here. I don't know if this is an appropriate form, but I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask. I understand, I missed a couple of meetings, but I said there's a meeting about the development, and there were some infrastructure questions. And I didn't know if there was going to be another meeting to follow up on that, or were decisions made, that sort of thing.
There's going to be another meeting.
Okay.
August 21st.
Great. And then there was, a while ago, there was a work group you guys had about livestock in the town's area. Was there an outcome to that, or anything that was addressed or changed?
That's not been followed up on yet.
And I'm curious, I know we're doing the budget tonight. Is that something that you guys do on a regular basis, and is it available for residents to look at?
That's not the budget. It's simply a snapshot of where we're at right now.
Okay.
The budget will be done and put before the town council for approval in September, because it goes into effect for the next fiscal year, October 1.
Is that available to the public after?
It will be, yes.
And I don't know if, I've been hearing rumors about we're going to eventually get sewer. Do you guys know, like, a timeline that we're talking about for sewer? And if residents will be forced to go on sewer?
It's still in the working. We're doing a lot of workshops and meetings on it.
This is Greg Bailey from Northbrook Professional Services. That's the purpose of him being here tonight, is to give us an update.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we have an update. The town secured a grant for sewer. As presently, I'm not sure what everybody knows, but the town does not have sewer, does not have a wastewater plant. So this grant will be to construct phase 1 of the wastewater plant and phase 1 of the collection system. Kyle, do you want me to go into this now, or you want to wait till later as far as how?
Do
it
you have
works?
other questions?
No, that's it.
Okay, might as well get to this.
Thank you.
Just, I will start. I lost my water resources engineer director in January, first of the year. So we've got mine, but we're getting caught back up. With that, I've got with me Brian Roche. He's my new director, and he'll be going over all that stuff in a minute. But we've gotten, we've secured, helped the town secure 2 grants, or 1 grant. The other one is basically been awarded. Paperwork's got to be completed to get that one secured as far as funding goes for that. We recently met with Ms. Connie and Mayor, talked about 3 locations for lift stations that will be needed. In general, I think everyone knows that the wastewater plant and the spray field is intended to go here on the south side of town where the gun club is on town property. So that's still being worked through there. The initial cut was to try to collect the commercial areas along 27 here and locate those to be able to bring all that flow here south to the wastewater plant. There are a couple of things that the town will have to do. Ms. Connie's working on those as far as some ordinances and resolutions. To answer the gentleman's question, it is state law that you have to hook. If you've got wastewater available, you have to hook to that. So that is a requirement. Now, the function, how you get to that point is going to be up to the town in a way. We talked about some different things with the mayor and Connie. Whether or not you do that up front or you do that at a later date. And there are provisions where if you do have a septic tank and you can't be served or you can't do a repair on that septic tank, on that septic system. So if someone has one that's starting to fail, then they would definitely have to take all the measures to be able to do that. So there are going to be some discussions as far as rate structure. Right now, I think the indications, it's kind of correct if I'm wrong, but we're following the county's
Correct.
ordinances is the intent right now, to be consistent with what the county's charging for their utility customers as well. The county's flushed that out a few years ago, and it's somewhat in line with what you'll see in the area around Columbia County here. So with that, Brian, I want to let Brian come here and talk about some of the details of where we're at right now.
Got one question for you. On the lift station, what size piece of properties does that consist of?
Typically, the lift station goes on at least a minimum of 50 by 50. It consists of
Pretty small.
pretty much everything is below ground,
Yeah.
except for electrical panels, and they are fenced in for security purposes.
Yeah.
But the fenced in enclosure minimum is 50 by 50. There's some things like the city has it up there to 100 by 100. The biggest thing with those is you want to be able to make sure they're spotted where you got access from the street or some access corridor, so that when you can pull up a vac truck, a pump truck, or whatever maintenance vehicle you need, that you can pull directly into that area and set up and pull pumps,
Right.
do whatever
Yeah.
maintenance is needed to be done.
Okay. So it's a small area.
Excuse me?
I said kind of a small area.
Currently, the lift stations that are planned would be on town-owned property already, right away, that we already have.
I just wondered how big a spot it took to do
Yeah.
that.
We don't have to spend any money to acquire
I
any
got you.
property for it, so, which is a good thing.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, thanks for having me here. Like Greg said, my name's Brian Roche, and my most memorable experience at Fort White is getting into Tutney. It feels kind of cold in here tonight too, so wish I had a long sleeve shirt on, but it's a beautiful place and all. And I think I'd be remiss not to say that you find, I've been in Florida for 50 years, and you find people who moved here 10, 20 years ago and never been to Tutney, you take them there, it's like, man, this is awesome. So I'd be remiss not to say that. So, like Greg did a great job summarizing it. This sheet, and we've had 10 copies, but it's just a draft for today's point in time. It's not really something to keep. We'll be updating it. And it's not engineering drawings. We try to put something together just for, communication sense. It's not perfectly accurate because we're in the middle of like about 30% design. We have some submittals to the town that we'll be getting in a few weeks. And this is like an extraction for viewing purposes. And we'll go there. So generally what it's showing is, you look at it's 2 phases, the first part. But the first part will be like, we believe we're going to build a wastewater plant and have one lift station with about 20, 25 parcels in this kind of orange area up here along that road. And anyone can help me out on the road in a sense, where 27. Up here hires these larger parcels, they'll be commercial. And then down here more in the center, in the blue or aqua color, will be more of where we're putting pump station 2, and the houses are commercial, will gravity feed into that. And we believe we'll get a good portion of that during the first phase of the grant. And there's a $5.3 million grant. Wednesday, I'm meeting with FDP, working on making sure we follow through all the paperwork from the original feasibility to that grant. They have some technical, like a professional engineer, asked a lot of technical questions, so we're making sure we go through that. Greg Connie mentioned that they asked some things to make sure that there's going to be revenues to take care of this long term. I think it's wonderful that you're getting grants for that. But long term, making sure there'll be customers on it. What's a connection policy that the town will decide? And they'll give you flexibility with giving that grant, but they want structure. You get to make your decisions on timelines, on connectivity, things like that. But they want to have policies in place before they release all the funds. And then there's a follow-up secondary grant mentioned in the Ford Summit. So it's almost $10 million. $10 million is a lot of money. But in the water wastewater world, it's not much anymore. Just 5-6 years ago, you could build a wastewater plant. The one, I'll use some other numbers, maybe $10 a gallon. And now in North Florida, it's going $50 a gallon. It's not twice as much, more like 4 or 5 times as much. Now it might be a little bit of peak, more people coming to Florida, and you got the construction challenges of that. So hopefully that'll subdue a little bit. Here we originally, the plant's going to be a 100,000 gallon a day plant. So built in 4 trains. So 4 sections at 25,000 each. The plan we have in place, and we're in conception, we're working, move towards final design, but we're set on this at this point. It's really the right thing to do is design it for 2 25,000 trains at first, and then have a footprint for the next 2 25,000 trains. And then the question is, because you can't have a plant built for 100,000 gallons and only give it 3 or 4 or 5, 7,000 gallons a day of wastewater. So you want to bring that on, and we'll determine down the road in the next couple of years about when you see how much flow is coming in. There's always the, possibly one year the school board might come in with a big chunk of flow and things like that. That would impact when you would build the 3rd phase. So build 2 25,000 gallon a day train. You might only use 10 or 12,000 gallons the first few years. And then as more connections come on, more grant money come in, revenues come in, you can have some growth will happen. You don't want too much growth out of here, but you want some growth to come in there. And then allow the flexibility for the next 2 trains, whether they happen at one increment of 51,000 to 75,000, another one from 76 to 100, for decision made in the future to build that out. Overall, in this basin, and I look forward, I spoke to the gentleman at DEP 3 times in the last month, look forward to meeting Wednesday, is, there's a lot of encouragement with Three Rivers Estates area that Tutney to get those septic tanks into a centralized wastewater treatment facility, have treated at a higher level. And, long term, that type number will demand about 700,000 gallons or plan estimates at this point, this area. So right now, we're talking about 100,000 gallon a day plant, 225s initially with concrete and pumps and pipes and all that. Have a footprint next to it here in center town. But when it gets to the point where the area up, make sure I get the road right, 27th, and past Issaquah and Three Rivers, and I visited that a couple weeks ago, that's more when you need about 500,000-600,000 more gallons a day. That overall plan, the feasibility study a couple of years ago with, Greg and his team did, unfortunately lost Mr. White, and was more of a $50 million type number. Whether that's really going to be 45, 55, 60, 65, 70, but it's in that sort of range of number. So that's a hopeful long-term plan. And that will be a new site, coordination of the wastewater plan. So that's down the road. No one's really actively working on saying, hey, you got to acquire a piece of property for that now, and what have you. But let's get through this up and running, policy in place, get this moving, and then I think for the town that will be a decision in several years down the road. It's okay. This is working good. Let's think about Three Rivers, how much the state's still giving a lot of funds out, and how much revenue's coming in. So also we're going to have these pump stations. You're going to have gravity pipes. If you look right here, we're thinking this first phase 1 and 2, 3 pump stations. It's going to be about 60 partials. And again, reiterate, we might be off a little bit. We might be off a parcel or two. Greg and I were driving, and it's like there's a fire station there, and there's a Department of Health building, and we're going to go survey the area more, get involved. Every single parcel, list out the property, the address, what are the issues. Does the septic tank currently go out front of the house, or does it come out of the back of the house or commercial? And maybe here there's none coming to the back, but there's usually somebody coming out the back. There are a couple places where they need some easements because we'll need a gravity line going at the back between the property, because both properties aren't abutting the street. The manhole is, you might have to get an easement to go through the property, and then put a pump station, put a force main in, pump it to the plant, treat it well, put it on a spray field, and it'll be a long-term system. So that's the general description of it is. I don't know if there's one to stop and have any questions or
The first phase, we're probably looking at, the town will hook up the first customers, I'd probably say 30, 36 months.
Yeah, I think to work backwards, if you work backwards, pre-COVID, 4 or 5 years ago, you can get a package plant, and I don't know what type, 6, 8, 10, 12 months max. Now anybody can get those packages, but these people selling them all over Florida, Alabama, places where they're growing fast. They'll tell you 18 months. So you got at least another year than you would have had 4 or 5 years ago, just the construction of the plant. And then there's backlogs of generators right now. It's not as bad as it was a year ago. So we're looking at approximately 3 years, probably having the first customer. Exactly what month we'll continue to work on our schedule as we go forward and have more specifics of the timeline.
And each one of these lift stations will have a generator on them. So those type of generators, the last lead time I got was about 10, 12 months.
I talked to 2 people today that buy 50 a year, and one says, "Hey, yeah, more like 8 months, and I'll get you a better answer." Is this more? What else is more than 6 months? I'm not that tall, usually be hitting anything. So it's nice to do that actually. It's okay. So there is a challenge that it's not as bad as it was a year or 2 ago. So just getting that in mind and making sure we don't miss anything on small lead items.
So are y'all saying this Peach area here is phase 1, and that's what we're going to be going after first?
That's lift station number 1 to serve that area.
So that's going to be...
Phase 1 is all of that you see on there.
Phase 1 is all of
It's
it?
this and this.
Well, Greg, let me amplify that a little bit, or a little more. So the peach is lift station 1, the blue or aqua is kind of lift station 2, we believe, and we might be off the parcel, and then the yellow is going to be lift station 3. We asked everyone 5 years ago, could this all get done in $5 million? or close to it, you'd probably say yes. Now you can't do those on $5 million. The train, the plant itself, might would have cost less than $1 million, that you get general quotes closer to 3 now for 100,000 gallons. So we don't need 100,000, we're gonna go get the 50 to start with. So when we further detail this and the pump stations and generator costs, the peach and the plant, we believe the peach or the orange kind of color should be under that, in that range of the original 5.3. And we'll see how much we can get into the other ones. We also working on getting a second grant come in, and DP, at least verbally, is sounding like they understand this is fluid. They understand finances are fluid, especially in the last few years. And we'll try to get as much of this done with the 2 grants of $10 million, assuming that the second grant's going to come through, which is pretty well.
I think the second one's 4.6.
Yeah.
So for this whole phase 1, we're talking about how much money?
You've got 5.3. Right now, we're working on finalizing the design and all that, and then we'll do an estimate at that time to see how close we are to doing that.
High-level estimate, order of magnitude numbers now, this whole page, all 3 colors, 60-type units is probably closer to a $7.5, $8 million number, not a 5, not a 10. So I'm not, not.
So why would, if we're gonna do lift station 1, why would we start on the, I guess, west side of town instead of the middle of town?
The information,
The commercial. To benefit the commercial.
there seems to be a lot of commercial.
gas stations.
There's commercial
Yeah,
interest out there.
that's
Right there.
here, to here, not,
Lift station number 3
right.
will take care of this.
Okay. Well, that's just my question. We're talking about a gas station right here.
You got 2, you got the Busy Bee.
We got 4 here in town, and there's one on that side, which would be,
Like,
what, parcel 25?
I think that's
25, or 22?
22.
We believe 22 and 23 being the first phase. And 2.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
21.
that's fine. I mean, we're getting out there. That's, none of that's.
How much of the blue under the first grant is debatable, but hopefully blend those together.
Sure.
And,
Yeah.
But you said the
The
second,
condition is that there's interest in those properties out 27 going forward, so
Right.
we're trying to set the town up so that you can have those additional commercial properties that you can't serve today, on septic tank.
Because the commercial obviously would generate more income than the residential.
but the second grant is going to take care of the blue and potentially the yellow. The second 4, whatever.
yes, it should take care of the blue and the yellow. That's what we believe. And exactly how much the cutoff will be kind of in the blue. Between the first and second grant, we'll kind of be somewhere in that blue slice. And we're still flexible now because by the time this gets up and running, hoping the second grant's all integrated with the first one. That's the hope, not a definitive yet, and allow all this to happen under 2 grants. But right now, we're kind
I'm
of
not worried about what's coming in the future. I'm worried about what we have now.
Yeah.
kind of, you could help. On the first grant, 5.3, you have access to the funds as we speak.
Yes.
The 4-point number, and usually I'm good with numbers, I can get them all memorized, it's approximately 10 together. That has not been released.
But it's been approved, just waiting on some paperwork. Right.
And their completion on the grant part of it was December of 2026. But we may have to get an extension on that,
Yeah.
right?
You should be close,
For the first number,
yes.
the 5 number.
Now,
No.
and these lift stations,
The second one.
The second one.
Oh,
the lift stations, this was our cut. We did talk to Ms. Connie and the mayor about it. Town council wants to do them in a different area or whatnot. Now's the time to let us
no,
know.
we're just hashing things out.
Well, I mean, this is
Probably next
probably
month,
time.
certainly the next month or 2, if you, we're actually getting the train moving on production, getting that up.
We were looking at 27 corridor being the big corridor. 47's got some, but it's mainly got the school up there. The school has their existing facility there. I know there's been talk about them getting out of that, but we don't have any definites yet, so, that could easily be brought into one of these lift stations and brought down later on if that's something that does transpire.
And would expand our service area
Yes.
And we'll,
up into here.
you know, by the time this goes out to bid, we'll have, you know, more information with DEP on the flexibility of that. And there's advantages of putting it all together. And there's disadvantages, you know, pros and cons either way. One advantage, you think, hey, let's get all this done at one construction job at one time. That's also a lot of construction going on in a centralized area. There's, you know, so that's a con to that. If you get too big, then, you know, only certain size contractors can work on it, and the pricing just could go on. We don't want to get the pricing we got in the parts of the state are just overworked, the pricing goes a little high too, so having it cut kind of in half or 60-70% the first phase of the collection is probably pretty good from a contracting point of view. Just in traffic, but we're open to anything that the town.
You guys should be doing, you assume they'll be doing directional bores under the roads, yeah?
Some of them, we'll need to flush that out with the town. Obviously, the state road, they're not gonna let us open cut the road.
Right.
Some of your local streets, if it works out that way, we can do that. What we're doing, part of this is a gravity line, part is a force main. Force mains are great for doing you can do directional drills for those. Directional drills don't work so well when we're trying to do, it has to be on line and grade.
It's disruption, you know, with open cut, but gravity's the gold standard. I've operated vacuum systems during hurricanes, you don't want it. I don't want it.
So,
You know,
so you said about 36 months before the first house is online. That's not 36 months of construction?
No.
No, that's all of your design, your
Right.
permitting, and construction.
Right. I'm just trying to think how long we should expect the town to be disrupted by construction.
Construction, I would probably tell you about 10 or 24 months.
And some will be, you know, the plant site is within fence, it's the collection.
Yeah.
The force mains is construction, but it's the collection, the gravity main is the most impactful.
And when we do the stuff, when our plans, what we have the contractor bid on is we do put specifications in there. They just don't get to go just tear up the whole town.
Right.
They work, they start wherever they're going to start at, and then they work their way down the line. So, you know, you get all that in, you get that repaired, and then you move on down. They don't just go dig up the whole town and then start laying lines. You're going to lay lines as you go and
Right.
cut them up.
Backfill and go.
You're going to restore everything behind it. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I envision like the posters on the wall will have, you know, 2 or 3 blow up at this type, but more details showing this is a period of time we believe this roads will be. And then the people who know this town the best will understand about
Right.
certain intersections, you can't take both at the same time, things like that.
Exactly. These are the questions we're going to get asked
Yeah.
once this gets going, so.
It's worked a long time, but it's a little bit of a challenge, gravity after the fact, but.
Yeah, with the requirements, they've got to maintain traffic. You know, now, if you got an alternate route to go around this section, you can stop it there, but still, everybody's got to have access to their property. You can't just go cut somebody's driveway off the side of the property.
Yeah.
That don't work.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
That's it.
Agenda a little bit.
All right.
We'll update this as we go.
Think the other guy has a question right here.
Did you say that the rate has been established already? Kind of? Or Leon, did you say something about the rate being established?
The county has gone in, and as you know, the county is in charge of the maintenance and operation of the utility here in Fort White. That was done through an interlocal agreement that we did with the county back in October. Okay? Therefore, in order to make the operation and maintenance easier, we came together and agreed on one rate structure. At the time, the rates for the county were different than our rates, and so they we went together and they came up with an ordinance and established the rates. They adopted what the town of Fort White had in place for water. We don't have sewer yet, but the rates, they have gone in and have come up with a rate structure. We have not adopted that yet. The Joint Utility Committee has looked at that rate structure, and the town now has to go in and agree to adopt those same rates.
There'll be a rate study done again before the 36 months before it's gone out.
Yeah, and the rates are fluctuating.
Say
The rates can change
Right.
between now and the time it happens. We just have to adopt something in order to be able to do the paperwork and the projected income models, et cetera, for DEP to show that it can be a viable
So,
operation.
second, point of clarification then. So based on the connection fees, the maintenance and all, once the grants is paid for the infrastructure, will it be sustainable?
Can I answer that?
Sure.
In cost of service and rates, typically, the grants is a great thing. It's similar to maybe what happened in the 70s in the massive cities in America, the Clean Water Act. They got a lot of infrastructure granted from the federal government. Here it stays doing it here. That helps you build the first time. That's not for O&M to keep it up.
That's what I said.
Yeah, okay, let me show you that. The capacity fees, which I think you went to, Mr. King, is simply for growth. So the capacity is when you connect, there's usually three components to it actually. One pays for the capacity of a water plant, sewer plant. Second part of it, and that's a bigger number. Let's call it $6,000 to $8,000 together for a resident. And the next one's connection one was called at $1,000. So one's more than $1,000. That's put the lateral in on the house. And the last one's a meter charge. You put the meter at $300. You got one for $700, one closer to $1,000 type number, depending on what city it is and what you're building. Here, you got a grant money to help build that first one. So a lot of the capacity fees will help you expand. But those capacities hookups don't pay for the O&M, long-term or replacement of that original plant that needs to be replaced 20, 30 years out of equipment. Did I help that, or want me to back up?
My question is the rates going to be enough for the O&M to sustain the system once it's built? And I think Rocky said there'd be another study done to verify that.
Yeah, you should be doing a rate study. Well, I think there should be done every 2 years, but what Brian said, every 3 to 5 years, you should be doing at the maximum. Because it's basically like at home. Your electric bill doesn't stay the same every year. They go up every year, the cost goes up, and you have to pay a higher electric bill. But you should always go through, I think tonight maybe y'all got something on garbage, it's a similar service whenever you got these services, that, the cost of them, you have to reevaluate periodically to make sure that you're covering your costs. So that will be done right now, and as Connie said, the town council has got to adopt what they want to go with. The initial discussion was to tailor it or to parallel what the county's doing, and the county has gone through a rate structure to cover their costs. Now, a lot of times that's full build out, or at least 50% build out of the plant. So initially, we're not going to have that. So we've got to work on that. Now, it does help that we're targeting the commercial side first. They will pay the lion's share of those costs. They always do, the way utility structures are set up. So that's what we're getting at. To answer your question, that's something we're going to get into to verify as we get deeper into this, that, what are going to be these costs, and, the customers that we're looking to connect to, if council's okay with where we're putting these lift stations and these parcels we can now verify what their potential cost will be, because they all vary. depending on what their usage is. But because the town has water, all these customers have water bills, so we can now look at that water bill and estimate what their sewer charge is.
I'll clarify one thing I said, Greg's right about every year or two, you look at, in the world of rate making, they call it revenue requirements. I didn't know what that word meant 18, 20 years ago, the first time I heard it. Basically, how much money's coming in to pay for expenses. That needs to be done generally every year. You may get an outside professional and do it every two or 3 years. The cost of service is split between classification customers, means commercial and residential usually, or wholesale if you have it. That type of work can be done every 3 or 5 years. And the structure between a meter or service size, a 1-inch service versus a 2-inch service, those costs of service really, they're more structured that don't have to be done every year or two, but you got to look at the overall revenue requirements, how much you need to take care of the system every year or two. It's part of almost the budgetary process coming in.
Just to follow up on his question, so right now, we don't know the rate, so we don't know if that's enough money to maintain it.
Yeah, the town council has not adopted a rate, an official rate yet. Correct, sir?
That's correct.
The fortunate thing for what I have is you have no money, you'll have no money in this initial, $5 to $10 million investment, so it's a good start point.
So the idea is to base your rate on Lake City's or Columbia County, which essentially Lake City has a much larger area. Their maintenance would be a lot larger as opposed to Fort White. So will those rates then be adjusted again?
Well, rate is based on usage.
No, we're talking about like maintenance rate and all that. Going back on what he was saying, back on what he's saying.
But it's
and we're just
based
gonna
on
mirror
your,
it.
but it's based on your usage. That's why I was saying about they can go in and look at the commercial customers that are using the water right now and get a feel for how much it's going to cost for the sewer. And that's what we've got to go in and look at. That's part of this process that we're under right now to provide to the DEP. You have to do what's called a capital plan. And you have to go in and you have to estimate. You have to estimate the usage, the cost, what your revenue is going to be, and all that. And we haven't got to that point yet.
Will that happen before construction starts?
Yes,
Okay.
that's part of the grant approval process. And as part of the first grant, we have to go in and do that as well for the first phase.
So ideally, you do want to kind of overestimate that number anyways?
Overestimate?
Yeah,
You want to be as accurate as
you want to be accurate, but again, if you're just going based upon like the cost for maintenance and all that stuff,
The way utilities
county is?
The way utilities typically operate is sewer is billed based on water usage. Okay? We're fortunate that the town already has a water system, so we already know what their water usage is billed at. So we can then take those volumes and those customers that can go on this line, then we can calculate how much revenue that would be. We can estimate what the cost would be to run the electricity, to pay the operators, all the normal operational costs, and then do a comparison to see where that falls on what you have to charge to cover those costs.
Any other questions?
Any more questions? All right.
Thank you.
Close it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. No more public participation. Okay, we close it. Item number 4, new business. Okay, presentation from Doug Sanders, CDBG.
My name is Doug Sanders, and I'm with Ann Easton Associates. We're based in Tallahassee. I want to talk about your future, too. And I want to talk about grants, and congratulations to do something so progressive for the town and the environment. When I met with Connie a couple of weeks ago, she took me on a tour of your town. You have 3 beautiful parks, especially the Mayor's Park, which could be a tremendous gateway to your community. to get your caboose restored, get the depot restored, bring in restroom facilities for Deeds Park and the Bryant Park over here, and maybe some police stations as well. Andy and I are proposing that if you would hire us, we will file an application with the state. When DEP has an environmental parks plan called FERDAP, and we're estimating $50,000 for Deeds Park and $50,000 for Bryant Park to get started.
For recreational equipment.
Then, with the Mayor's Park, we'll go after a state grant to, at the same time, restore the depot and the caboose, which I'm sure you're all aware of. It's in bad shape, so time is of the essence. It's unfortunate with all the heavy weather. It's probably different than what it was when that depot and the caboose were first put together. So we're proposing, if you would bring us on board, we'll do the 3 parks, and also we would like to put your depot caboose on the National Register. You already got a historic district over here, and Connie tells me the school wants to donate their building, which is already on the National Register.
Okay.
But it probably needs repairs, and that's probably why they're donating it. So, when we do this in Berkeley County, it's like a two-edged sword. You get the building, but you gotta fix it up. And in the case in Bradford County, they built a gym in 1961, and it existed all these years with no AC. How that happened, I'll never know. But anyway, we got that taken care of. So Andy and I, we've been working together since 1999, and we specialize in small communities. If you bring us up on board, I promise you, this will not end up on Connie's desk. From what I can tell she's got plenty to take care of. We will take care of the public notices, the ordinances, the resolutions. There will be some, you'll need to update your capital improvements plan. You, as the council, will decide, what do we want to put in these parks? Do we want restrooms at Deeds? Do we want one out here? And maybe put in a police station as well. Now, believe it or not, 50,000 goes quick. But at least if we get the restroom facilities in and some playground equipment, you're on your way. Then we can always come back next year and do that. So I can tell, sitting in the audience, you've got a busy year ahead of you. But at least this is an addition to your future. You've got beautiful parks, and I really like Mayor's Park. People coming in, I can't express it enough. What a gateway interest. I've never seen a town have a park that would serve as an entrance to your community. It's just magnificent. And the depot can be restored, and there's pictures of cabooses that have been restored. I've worked with communities, and I've got a PowerPoint I can send to Connie, and she can distribute to you that goes in more detail. I don't want to take a lot of time away from everything here tonight, but the PowerPoint shows the projects we've worked on. We've done a lot of stuff in Sumter County, and we won several grants in 2020. And guess what happened? The pandemic. The governor took away all the grants to fight the pandemic, so I had to go before councils and say, we won the grant, but now we don't have it. Well, we're past that stage. So now when we apply for grants, like we did in Bradford County for the town of Hampton, they wanted to restore their city hall. We won the grant. Now we've reapplied again for the same project. So I made a pretty quick description of what we could do, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
The total, just so you know, the total for their services to apply for the historic grant for Mayor's Park, as well as the 2 FERDAP grants for Deeds Park, as well as John Bryant Park, etc., and to assist with whatever would be needed at the school. Now, the school can be put on hold because we're not sure about that yet, but the other 2, we know we can move on that. We're looking at a total, including the school, for their services of $4,000. If we put the school on hold, we're looking at $3,000.
And this is lump sum. Once the commencement documents come in, I don't know what the status is on your boundary surveys for your parks. If they're 10 years or less in age, you will probably have to do an increased boundary survey. But what I would recommend, let's get the grant in and let's see how the chips fall. And then when the commencement documents are brought to your attention, we can deal with it that time.
Now, didn't you say the FERDAP grants are open until October?
Yes, that's the one that we really need to get started on. And I can meet with Connie tomorrow and go in more detail with her, all of the public hearings and ordinances that I've already drafted. So she doesn't have to worry about that. But the Deeds Park, what a nice donation. Downtown, but it only has a shelter. So it makes it tough for families to come out for Sunday picnics or reunions or whatever. But bringing in the restrooms, and now that you've got a sewer system coming in, that can be hooked up later on too, make your parks very clean. And we recommend that you bring us on board for the National Register nomination. To be able to say your caboose and your depot is on the National Register really makes it worthwhile. And your depot was part of the historic Atlantic coastline. I've done 2 depots on the line. It was a very historic line. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but you got a lot of history tied up on that corner of the street there.
And I think that we either need to do something with it, or else it's going to fall into disrepair and it's going to have to be torn down, and that would be a shame to do that to the train depot here.
We'll talk to people that are in that business. We will advise Connie, and she will advise you. What are the vendors saying, the suppliers? Some of the things we ran into over these last 3 years, we had a chronic shortage of asphalt and copper. So as the latest advance, it is getting better, as the gentleman here mentioned. The pandemic created all sorts of headaches. One was chips. They're in everything we have, and yet somewhere in China, that's where they're made, but we could not access it. All those headaches and hiccups are gone now. So it's really a good time to use these grants. So the city is well positioned with your future plans, and I would like to add this on to your future plans if you bring us on board.
So,
Go ahead.
I apologize. So, this $4,000, you're basically just brokering grants. You're in no part involved with the actual rebuild.
No, that's right. But we will get quotes from the recreation companies, what a PlayStation will cost. We'll ask first what contractors, general contractors, the town has had successful work in the past. Give them a chance to give us a bid, what it would take to do the restaurant. But we know right off the bat, if we stay at $50,000, you don't have to worry about a match. And I'm trying to keep that away. I don't want you to worry about a match. You've got enough going on right now. But I know 50,000 in your rural community, you should be in an excellent position.
Okay, so one more time. So we're paying you guys $4,000. You guys submit the application for the grants.
Yes.
Whoever gives the town of Fort White the money.
Yes.
Or does it come to you?
The grant comes to you. At that point, the grant takes care of our administration. So what you approve tonight, that's it.
Just approved for his services.
So
Just his services, right?
Yeah.
Just your services, and that's it.
yeah, we're not.
And once the money comes to the town of Fort White,
They would continue, but they would be able to charge the grant for administration services to handle the bidding, all of it,
so they'd be pulling back out of that. We'd be paying them out of that grant again.
depending upon what it would entail, yes. They would handle the bid documents, everything. Which would be part of the grant.
Okay.
For it.
I think it'd be a good idea to
It would be nice.
utilize, but then, how much are we looking at service-wise from y'all that you'll be pulling from this grant money? Is it something?
Well, when the commencement documents are offered, it will explain $50,000, our fees would be in that, okay?
What usually is your percentage
Well,
on a $50,000 grant.
Probably 5,000. Because we've done this so much, we streamlined them. And the advantage is I do 2 parts right away under FERDAP. Then, once FERDAP's over in October, I'll be in a better position to start on the mayor's part. And at the same time, apply with the State Historic Office in Tallahassee. They make a preliminary questionnaire that we will fill out, and that's sent to Washington. And then once that's, the State Historic Grant will open up in April of next year, we should have our nomination in place, and it really looks nice to have that on there. I mean, you can have local protection, but you can't be having your depot on the same register as the White House and Thomas Jefferson's home. It adds a lot of weight.
What would the turnaround be? How long is the turnaround? Say we cut you a check, we can bring you on board, we hire you?
I've already started. I got a feeling that you're very anxious, and I don't like to wait, so I knew if you say yes, I'm going to try to meet with Connie tomorrow before I go back to Dade City. It starts right away. But the FERDAP...
To get an answer.
They give the grants out in October.
Okay.
Yeah, the deadline's October. Then the State Historic Grant for your depot caboose that opens up in April and it expires in January. But we would, all three proposals are a 3-part plan moving us.
Right, so in a year we could potentially start actual construction within a year's time.
Yes.
I like it.
It's pretty standard for
Yeah.
grant work. I mean, because they may not get the grant, so, you have to pay them.
That was one question.
I guess that's my biggest concern.
Well, that's any, in any of these events, and that's how come people who do grants, that the standard practice is to pay them a fair rate to make the application, because if they make the application and they don't get the grant, then, no one gets anything. But it's a lot of work on the front end to make the grant.
That's a good point. If you apply for it, somebody else will. There's a pool of money in Tallahassee waiting, and some of the communities I talk to, they feel like, well, we don't want to take on taxpayers' money, but why not? You paid into it. People that own property or white are paying into these grants that can come back to you.
And then most of the grants, you'd ask about the administrative fee. If the grant's awarded most of the time, each grant's different, but most of the time, they delineate out a certain amount of the total grant amount towards administration. So it's not like they go, like if you get $50,000 and they'll be able to try and charge you $40,000.
Right.
No, the state will give you a contract that binds the town and us. You'll know before we start, what is our fee, what goes to the restaurant, what goes to the play stations. You'll know before you start.
And what are the chances we succeed here?
I think they're good. I have personally won grants for, I used to be city planner in Dade City. When I retired, I said, well, I really don't want to retire. I spent 24 years trying to learn how this works. And I know I've been through several communities going through what you're going through right now. It's a big step to bring in wastewater treatment. But on the other hand, while you're positioning yourself, the recreation is already here. You got all these parks are wide open. And it would benefit the community tremendously. And I probably wouldn't make this speech 3 years ago because I didn't trust the governor. He took away all our grants, and that really hurt. But we're past that stage. And Florida has a lot of capital improvement dollars to deal with.
Hi, my name is Steve Castro. I live out here in Fillmore Subdivision. The county has people who apply for grants. Why would we want to hire an outside consultant to apply grants that the county couldn't reapply for? It's just
The county's grant writers write for the county.
And this is for the town.
This is for the county of Fort White.
Have you asked the county if they would do that for our county?
No.
Why don't we?
The county has their hands full as well.
No, you won't know unless you ask the question.
We can certainly ask, however, pardon me?
Was there a comment?
I thought I heard one. Anyway, we can certainly ask, however, I do know that the county has applied for their own FERDAP grants, and they are in the process of several other projects as well. So
I understand that.
We're our own municipality. We
I
are our own
understand that, but
municipality.
we're also partnering with the county on a whole lot of things nowadays.
We are partnering with the
Okay,
county on
so
a
I
whole
would
lot of
ask,
things,
why
so.
wouldn't you apply, or at least question, can the county pick up 2 grant applications for our county?
We've been trying to come up with ways to fix this depot for a while now. So,
The county has been aware.
That depot and that caboose up there that goes back to 2007, okay? I just asked the question, why don't you ask the county, who we've already partnered with for the water treatment, obviously the garbage assessment, why don't we ask the county, can you handle 2 grant applications for our town? I mean, what would that take? They would have to ask among themselves and look at their load, and couldn't they answer that within a couple of weeks?
So time is against us. We gotta
I just asked for a couple of weeks, okay? I'm not asking until October.
what's your concern with this?
My concern is anytime you hire consultants, when you have in-house people who can do jobs, okay, and in-county people who can do the same job, you should look into that before you just say, well, yeah, let's go hire a consultant. That's just my point of view. Take it for whatever it is.
Take it.
Thank you. Thank you. So what now? Need a motion.
What do you think?
If I can put in an extra plug. The county may have a great right,
Don't you think?
but I've actually done these grants. I've done the depots, and I showed Connie my PowerPoint. I've actually done these projects. The county may have somebody that can file a grant, but that's only half the story. Have you been at the other end of that grant? Have you seen it? And I've done that for several depots. And I put the Dade City depot on the National Register. I want to do the same thing for you. You're on the same rail line as Dade City. And when people drive through the town and your project's on the National Register, GPS shows the drivers coming in for, like, this depot is on the National Register. It's a nice Chamber of Commerce thing. It's a matter of pride. But the depot and the caboose, especially the caboose, from what I can saw, it's really good. So it's going to take some money.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
I understand consultants have a responsibility to make money and to provide presentations for people like us. You have the same people who certainly have done that in the county. And I would ask you to imply the county to see if they cannot come up with the same type of deal before you just say, well, yeah, here's $5 grand, go out and tell me what I need to do now, consultant. You got to talk to a lot of people who have utilized consultants throughout the years. And then you got to ask you a question, what did I get for that consulting fee? And if it's great, go for it. If it's questionable, then you got to ask questions. You just don't say, let's do it. And I'm done.
I disagree, but I agree with your opinion. But when I retire, I'm already retired.
So am I.
And so this, I'm not charging.
I'll make a motion to pass CDBG and FRDAP grants.
Second. It has been motioned and second to pass the CDB grant. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposes? Ayes has it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you
for your comments. I appreciate it.
Let's move on to number 2.
It's good to see so many people here. Many towns I go through, there's no money. So this is amazing, this turnout you have.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Let's move on to number 2. AFLAC presentation.
You will see in front of you a sheet that's got some proposals on it. At one of our meetings, the mayor had indicated that he would like us to look into benefits, to be able to have a wider employment pool, et cetera, and to benefit.
Hey, having the meetings.
So what you find in front of you is from AFLAC. They're just putting this out for information so you can see what's out there. So y'all, with budget cycle coming up, I didn't know if y'all wanted to try to incorporate some of this into the next budget cycle or not. So that's why they're here, to show you what's available for the employees. Got it.
Good evening. My name is Eric Mecca. I'm an associate at EMS. We're here from AFLAC. I'm sure you've all seen the duck on TV. Just a little background. We've been around since '56. We have 440,000 companies and municipalities that we service. We're employees. We're a $4 billion company, so we're not going anywhere. We offer what's called essential supplemental income to the employee or the policyholder. As you can see on the chart, we have an accident recovery policy that works 24/7. So if they got hurt at work, or if they got hurt out 4x4 or whatever, it pays if you go to the hospital, pay up to $13,000 depending on the severity it is. We also pay for like disc replacements this spring or summer. We have cancer policies. 1 out of 2 of us is going to get it, unfortunately. And it doesn't just affect the person with cancer, it affects the whole family, which is the whole core that AFLAC was built on since the 50s. We have an initial diagnosis, in other words, when somebody finds out they have it, we pay $5,000 to the policyholder. It doesn't go to the doctor, to the hospital, or anybody. It goes straight to the person. So you can take that money and use it for whatever you need. You have to pay your phone bill, electric bill, whatever. We just pay the person and let them use their judgment as to what to do with money. That $5,000 goes up by $500 a year for every year that you've had the policy. We had a coworker started 23 years ago. Her $5,000, and she got, unfortunately, breast cancer in December. The check that we shot to her the first time was over $17,000. Which allowed her to get a second opinion, which thank God she did it, because at the first place they wanted to do major surgery. Luckily Shannon said, no, it's small, we can get it out, it's little radiation therapy, should take care of it. I could spend a half an hour for so many things to recover. We also cover melanoma as cancer, not just skin cancer. So a lot of your employees are out in the sun all day long, we would cover that. And you can see the prices are there on the bottom. We have short-term disability. Your employer, whenever gets hurt off the job and can't do his specific job, or if they're sick and they can't work, we would pay them a portion of their monthly income for up to 6 months. The example on there showed some person between the age of 18 and 49 has 27,000 years. It costs $14.28 a pay period. They were paying $1,400 a month tax-free. And again, that money goes straight to the client. Critical care we have, that's primarily heart attack, stroke, coma, third-degree type burns. That pays the diagnosis $7,500, and again, just like cancer, it goes up $500 a year. It also pays for hospital confinement, $300 a day. It has rehab. Because if you have any cardiovascular problems, you're going to have you run on the treadmill so you don't feel good and see if you're going to have another heart attack. We have 65 of those. We do have other policies as well. Yeah. We have a dental policy, which is a true group policy. You're looking to get a card, and it's a PPO. And we have a large PPO both in Lake City and in Gainesville. And it has no wait period. So
So if they had got the policy, then now they need something done within the schedule of different things that we do, there's no waiting period. Because a lot of dental policies, if you need anything major, you gotta wait 2 years or 1 year. Ours starts immediately. We have a vision program, people that need glasses, contacts and all that. Very inexpensive, like $30 and so on. We pay for that too. Also offer life, go forward to, we have term and whole life, but that's based on age, or the smoke, or the don't, so I can give a comment and regulation, so you guys can figure out how much you want to do.
This was simply informational tonight to give you an idea of what's available and approximate price ranges, so that when budget time, which is fast approaching, y'all want to offer benefits, then you can decide a dollar amount that you would want to set aside, and we can then pick and choose, or let the employees pick and choose, that kind of thing.
I can go more in depth with pricing, I'll give you a comment on that. Just like the accident portion of, for an individual, $11.23 an acre, so it's like a little over $5 a week. You put his whole family on it, I don't care if it's kids, it's only $27 a week.
And as far as the council wanting to participate, that would be a possibility as well.
Just want to make sure it's good for information, we got a lot of business tonight, so. Any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you for your time.
All right. Let's move on to number 3, request from the Fort White High School to use Dees Park for student evacuation staging for 23-24 school year. We
Now,
have-
you know, they ask us this every school year, and it's for evacuation purposes. If they have a school shooter or whatever, they like to use Dees Park, and they have provided the insurance.
That is there for the signature. So we don't have to vote on that, do we?
Yeah, you do.
Do, okay. So we need a motion for it. We get a motion? We have the letter here in our
I'll make a
packet.
motion to let Fort White High School use the Dees Park for the evacuation staging for 23-24 school year.
I second.
Okay, it's been motioned and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposers? Have it. Okay, let's move on to number 4, renewal of the gun club lease.
Lindsay, you want to
Yep.
hang on with that?
Good evening. My name is Floyd Dustin. I just wanted to,
He'll tell you what.
thank you.
I don't know.
We don't need to talk.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Basically, we didn't have the full compendium of financials available, and so we have discussed, if you want to have
The council asked me to look at the gun club lease, which has been around for many years. It's been amended a few times, and it's up for renewal. And at our last meeting, I had requested to get their financials to look at, to get some kind of feeling for what a fair lease payment to the town should be. Because as you know, for years, basically I think they've given the town like $1,000 a year donation, I believe they called it. From reading everything, the gun club and town relationship has changed over the years of the amount of work they've done, the amount of participation that's gone back and forth. And so it would appear to me now to just be a straight up lease, should be, is just a straight up lease between an entity leasing our property and the town. So I've looked at that. The financials for the last several years are unfortunately not really existing to much of an extent, because I guess there was someone who was in charge of the financials, who was embezzling from the gun club, and I guess it was in the paper, he was arrested, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a gap of time in the immediate past where the financials are clear. But I could look at the historical financials, and I could look at sort of their year-to-date financials that they have now, what they're spending money on, et cetera. And what I would propose is that the lease is really a year, or not even a year-to-year lease. It's basically a 30-day notice lease, and it's always been that. Although you have renewed it for many years, and I think it had like a 10-year clause in there. But it always is said, and should continue to say, basically, we could end our relationship basically in 30 days. So I would suggest that going forward in our renewal, that we renew it again for a year, with that same language in there, that if we need to or want to, for convenience, terminate those 30 days, and have a monthly lease payment of $500. With an evaluation to be made at the end, a year from now. And I believe that the financials that they're putting back together now after their unfortunate mishap with their previous treasurer will be able to give us a clearer picture. So I think that's fair for both sides for now, and that's what I would suggest.
Do we want to move on?
Oh, yeah.
Would you like to come up now?
I just wanted you to hear what he was going to propose.
Thank you, Board, for Councilman seeing us today, allowing us to come up. Appreciate your effort in reviewing our financials and considering us this year for having a lease. The $500 seems very reasonable. We will adjust our membership fees accordingly and our fees for our matches as well to accommodate that. But it seems like a very reasonable approach, and we're very thankful for the opportunity and the lease that you've given us.
Okay.
All right.
I'll make a motion to renew the lease for $500 a month.
I'll second.
Been motion and properly second. All in favor? Opposes? Ayes have it.
And council members, I'll make that amendment. I'll have the mayor get it signed and then get it out to the gun club, so we'll have it here next week.
Good deal.
All right. Moving on to number 5, Fort White Cemetery issues. It had
That
been,
was tabled from the last meeting.
Right.
And I think the mayor asked each of you to go to the cemetery and look around and come back with suggestions. I don't know if you were able to do that or not, or if you want to table it again until the mayor is able to attend, it's up to y'all.
okay. I don't know. Did y'all go out?
Yeah, I went out there and I looked around. Was it you that suggested if there was permanent markers already there that we honor it?
Well, me and Travis talked about it, but we didn't get in discussion because nobody had been around there except me.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I got family in there, so I go around there, mom and dad both in there. I know kind of what's going on, but Fort White seems to have nothing on it whatsoever.
It's embarrassing, really.
It is. I mean, really, it is. But we do got to come up with a solution. I would rather we spend a little more time on it before we do. But we do need to come up with a solution and get this over with. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
So you want to table it until...
Yeah, till next month.
I prefer table till the mayor get here.
Just to let the public know, last meeting, they're in the old part of Fort White Cemetery, not the newest part, the old part, we have no record of who's got what plot. If there's not poured in concrete corners out there, we can't tell whose is what. So the council's looking at going in and coming up with some kind of solution
and opening some of them slots back up for sale. Because if somebody don't have some kind of record of it, we don't know what's what. We have absolutely no paperwork on that subdivision. Yes, ma'am.
There were records.
Ma'am, before you get started, we don't have them.
I know, and they were destroyed, and I don't know who authorized that.
I don't either, but we don't have them. We gotta come up with a solution to go forward.
Because they were,
We just gotta go forward, yes. I understand. I've got family in there that's got markers. I got family in there that don't have markers. That says that's their plots. So, we've gotta come up with a solution for the city, because the city's gotta take care of that. And right now, what we're getting out of it is nothing. And we don't know where to go with it, except we've got to come up with a solution for it.
What would be the solution for it?
Sir?
What would be the solution?
Charging for the plots. Charging for the plots like they do in the new park and like they do this cemetery over here.
well, you'll have to get a new survey and get it
Yes.
plotted out.
That's right.
It was done in 1994.
Well, who's got that?
I have a copy of that survey, but it was the section is in the old part, but it's right there toward the end, and where there were not any graves, and the people were just coming in and burying people. So we had a survey done, and we've got it plotted out, the north end of the old part.
Just the north end of it?
Well, that was not occupied because the south end, people were buried there.
Right.
When they done that survey, didn't they determine where the graves were actually at? Wasn't that a part of the survey?
Not the copy that I have, it's just a survey of the sections that was not already occupied. There was a record of every grave there that Carlos Maxwell went through, and they wrote down everybody's name and where they were buried. And like I say, whoever authorized the destruction of them gets the law.
The problem we have is we have people that come in from out of town, and they may have grandparents buried there. But grandparents, or they've been told that in addition to grandparents, they have 10 more plots. But we have no record of that. And so they want to bury their other relatives there in the plots. And back in the day, I guess they did it on verbal and handshake and that kind of thing. And we have no way of knowing who.
Well, back in 1965, I went to Vietnam. My wife and my mother staked out a grave site. In the event that I lost my life in Vietnam, they would know where I was going to be buried. I didn't lose my life, thank God, in Vietnam. And when my mother died, who was buried up there in that same plot, my brother and I, we staked out that grave as Bill has stated, with monuments on all four corners. That gravesite up there now has got 6 Martins living in it. Or dead, isn't it? We've got room for about 6 more up there. And more than likely, I will be one of them.
But that's.
Or I'll haul hell out of it.
But you have markers.
But it's marked.
Yeah.
You have markers.
That's
We're
what
talking
we're
about the
having a
ones
problem
that don't.
with, is people saying they have a lot,
That's what we're talking
and
about.
it's not marked.
The plot.
You know, we know.
Who did
Donald Lee.
Donald Lee, okay, I know him.
What I want to say.
That's where I wanted to start at, because we have nothing. We have nothing to show
I have
what
a
we
list
have.
of names, alphabetical, and that's it. It shows the date they were buried, it doesn't show where they were buried, nothing. And it's a list of names, that's it.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, what we were told, and we were born and raised here. I've lived here all my life except when I was with him at duty station. And we were always told by the city that if our family members were there, we could be buried there with them. And ours does not have monuments at each corner, but we know where they are. And I'm dang sure go buy some and put them there. And this is very upsetting that you would be able to come up with this idea. Now, I understand people that are moving in that are not related to anybody that's buried here, that, charge them like you've been doing in the new section. But don't do that to the people that have lived here all their life.
That's what we're trying to come up with, Miss Martin, and we're going to make sure it's done in the right way with all of us talking to our community and figuring it out. It's not going to be very complicated, as y'all been here your whole lives. Everybody knows that. Like Bill and his family and our family,
Yeah.
But so there's no reason we're going to take care of it in the right way. So don't get too upset about it. We're gonna make it right one way or another.
But when this survey was done, it was for the empty space in the old part of the cemetery. And these, I don't know if they've all been sold.
What?
But that would have taken care of the whole old cemetery.
Right.
And you know up there now, it's pretty much full.
Right.
You know what year Mr. Lee done that?
94.
94.
Mr. Lee's out of business.
Yeah.
Sir?
Mr. Lee's out of business. He's been out of business for a number of years now.
I'll get a copy of that.
Yeah.
It should be on record.
Yeah.
Who done the survey?
Donald Lee.
Donald.
Can we get her paperwork, or do we have that to make copies, and we're gonna get all the
I
research
got
we
this
can?
from y'all.
Can I make a copy of it, please?
We'll make a copy just to be sure.
Okay.
I'd like a copy of it. But yeah, let's table this until next time.
Okay.
Well, Donald Lee is out of business.
Yes, sir, but it should be recorded.
Somebody has his records.
Yeah, it would be recorded.
It should be recorded. Well, I'm gonna check it out.
Well, if he did what he's supposed to do.
I said it should be.
He don't do the recording. That's up to the town to do the recording.
Oh, is it?
Understand that, but they've got to send it through.
I don't know that it'd be recorded, but somebody, and all you'd have to do is ask who has Donald Lee's records. And one of those surveyors does have those records.
Okay.
I make a motion to table Fort White Cemetery issues. Second.
It's been moved and properly second to table the issues. John Gill in favor. All in favor, opposed. Ayes have it. Let's move on.
The next on the agenda is a request to approve resolution R2023-039. This is for the traffic signal reimbursement agreement with FDOT. You approved the actual agreement at the last meeting, but they came back and want a resolution to go along with it. So hence the resolution.
Okay, can you get
They want what to go with it?
A resolution.
Oh,
just this for reading of it?
Y'all approved the agreement at the last meeting and just want a resolution to approve it.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution R 2023-039.
A second.
There's been a motion to approve, resolution R 203-039. All in favor? Opposes? Ayes have it. Let's go on to number 8.
Number
7, excuse me. I'm
Request
sorry.
approval of resolution
I'm trying to get through.
R2037 A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Fort White, Florida relating to the collection and disposal of solid waste and recovered materials in the incorporated area of the town, establishing the estimated assessment rate for solid waste service assessments against residential property located within the Town of Fort White, Florida for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023, directing the preparation of an assessment roll, authorizing a public hearing, and directing the provision of notice thereof, and providing an effective date. This is the preliminary resolution for the garbage assessment that we have to do each year now that we're doing a non-ad valorem assessment for the garbage. The Waste Pro we are in an interlocal agreement with the county to provide the rate and the services through the county billing, etc. And Waste Pro notified the county that there would be a 40% increase. The county did not accept that actual 40% increase. However, I was advised by the firm that we utilize to handle these assessments to go ahead and do the preliminary rate assessment. And the preliminary rate is at $369.33 a year. The county's doing a rate study, I believe, or they're supposed to have the results of the rate study in a couple of weeks. And we will be amending this resolution for the final resolution to have the final amount. We had to do this in order to make the deadlines to meet for the criteria that's required to do non-ad valorem assessments. So this figure of $369.33 is the max, and it will be adjusted based on the rate study that we received back from the county.
Motion.
I make a motion to request approval of the resolution. For approval of primary assessment for garbage service 23-24.
I second.
It's been approved and properly second for the motion for R 2022-037. All in favor? Opposes? Ayes have it.
Number 8, as you know, we got a preliminary report back from Helen Daly, who is handling the repaving or resurfacing of Jordan Street, that we were going to be facing approximately a $60,000 deficit for the for the length that we had originally planned for, which would go from the beginning of US 27 here to Tyrus Way. The $60,000 shortfall would require the project to be stopped at Amelia Port. We have asked the county for assistance to help us with the shortfall, and we have asked them to assist us with $50,000 of the shortfall. So what I'm asking for tonight is that the town, based on hopefully that the county will approve that, I'm asking for the town to approve the $10,000 shortfall that would exist if we receive the 50 from the county.
We got it. We got it.
Pardon me?
Do we have it?
We have it.
Yes. So something. We'll do something.
Make a motion that we allocate the $10,000 toward Jordan's resurfacing project.
Second. Second.
Was this portion that was done several years ago? That was redone?
Jordan?
Yes.
Jordan Street.
When are you going to do Euland Street?
That is on the 5-year DOT program. It has been submitted to the STOP program, and we're waiting to hear if it's going to be approved.
Yeah. This,
That should be done when
Put the eyes on that.
get it.
in Bryant Street's
But
bad.
if we could cut down on the truck traffic using Yulon Street as cut through, it would help.
Yes, but how you gonna do that without putting a red light down there too?
Well, and that's DOT, that's a fight we're having with DOT, so there we go.
Are y'all doing something about getting a red light down there?
I
We
just
can't
said-
do nothing about that. That's all
I just
DOT.
said we were in.
Y'all better second this motion so we can get out of here. Second this motion so we can get out of here. It's been motion and properly second. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have
That's
it.
all DOT, and they have said right now, they are not looking at putting the red out there. We've been going through that with the subdivision.
So, no,
If I bring up that
next
red
month,
light,
I'm here.
Next is a request from Fort White High School for a temporary use permit to approve the homecoming parade, which is scheduled for October 20th, 2023. And they have provided insurance.
Yes.
I make a motion for the Fort White High School for temporary permit for homecoming parade October 20th, 2023 at 3 p.m.
Second.
The motion and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposers? Ayes have it.
Last but not least are some financials. If you'd like me to go over them briefly, I will. It's up to the council. If you want to just take a look at them and bring questions next meeting, that's up to you as well.
I go with that one.
That's fine.
Okay.
Six.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Second.
Properly second. All in favor? Aye.